Hello. Well, why are you here today? Maybe you're here to be educated by the most sophisticated demographic in the world, pubescent teenagers. Well, why am I here? Some may say I'm here to buff up my college application, and they're not necessarily wrong. But in all reality, I'm here to show you a different side of the story. Here's an idea. This is a $100 bill. Now, if you look very closely, you could actually see that I just ripped it in half. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. That was a real $100 bill. But what I didn't tell you is the fact that it says Made in China on the side of it. And you may be asking yourself, well, why would you do something so stupid? But it helps me prove a simple point. It's the small little details that we don't take into consideration that make the difference. Every day I go to school listening about people's conversations, and I hear things from like, I kind of care about my hair, too. Dude, that teacher sucks. And I'm in high school, to be expected, right? But it's these shallow conversations that perpetuate all discussions and subjects. And don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing to use basic conversation. But the problem is, it's the only tool we're using. We're not showing our true selves on a day-to-day basis, and we're not putting ourselves out there, but instead hiding behind mask after mask after mask. As of now, I'm just some blonde kid talking to you about how people suck and we need to change. But I think it's time to give you some insight into the true me. Hi, I'm Berndt, a freshman, and I hate my life. I exist solely to avoid the horrible situation that I'm in, and oh yeah, I have depression. Now, if I'm up here with a microphone on stage talking to you, I must be almost cured or something, right? No. I'm on the maximum dosage of Prozac, a common antidepressant used to treat depression and anxiety. I have lines trailing up and down my arm from the knife that I used to cut them with. And I have anxiety attacks multiple times a day. I'm right in the thick of it. But just because I'm the only one here with a microphone and the courage to tell you these things doesn't mean I'm the only one. But I look around at my peers and people my age, and I try and find people that see the world like me, that think like me, or maybe even have the same problems that I do. But I can't find any. Because all I could see is mask after mask after mask. In the 8th grade, I would go to school every day feeling down and depressed, worried about the fact that I was going to a different high school than all my friends, or that my life just really sucked. But to everyone else, I was just that happy and quirky blonde. How would they know that I took pleasure in feeling my own misery, or that it fed upon me every night, eventually bringing me to tears, or a nervous breakdown sprawled across the floor with red lines on my arms and ice melting in my hands? And you want to know what the saddest thing is? My cutting problem started back one dreary day in the back of science class at a table of 4, when I decided to start cutting my wrist with a pencil. Slowly, as the blood started oozing out of my wrist, the other 3 people at the table looked at me, but they didn't do anything. They didn't try and get help. They didn't try to talk to me. All they did was watch. That afternoon, I went home, and I found the most jagged knife that I could find. And I used it to carve several lines up and down my left arm, ones that would literally scar me for life. And maybe now you could see why I would complain to my parents. Why can't anyone see I'm depressed? Why can't anyone see my pain? At the time, I solely blamed my teenage peers' lack of self-awareness and oblivion. But now I also realize that I too was to blame for my pain. About 3 months before the end of the 8th grade, my school had an anti-bullying assembly hosted by my ASB class. And at the end of it, one of my classmates fell apart and broke down and told everyone that his dad had cancer and was in the hospital and probably wasn't going to survive. People started comforting him as tears streamed down his face. And I asked myself at that instant, why can't people be like this all the time? Why can't this be our norm? Ironically, that afternoon, I went home feeling horrific because I hadn't told people my problem. I hadn't told people that my dad was in the hospital too and that he had cancer. But the reason I didn't tell anyone was because my dad was expected to survive and his wasn't. So therefore, my pain was insignificant. Mine wasn't as bad as his, so I shouldn't be complaining. The irony is that I saw that kid over summer, and he told me that his dad had survived and was going to leave the hospital in a month. I didn't dare tell him my dad had been in the hospital for 4 months and had died at the end of it. That day, I learned a very, very valuable lesson. No matter how insignificant, minute, or small someone's pain is, it shouldn't be ignored. Anyone with any pain should have help, and they shouldn't have to suffer through it. And it's these taboos and fears that we have as a society that hold us back and break us down. We as people don't express our true selves and don't give others the opportunity to help us or to help them, because all we do is hide behind our little mask. Today I was just some kid to you that walked up on stage, and you couldn't have possibly known about my story unless, of course, you personally knew me. And because of that, I'd like to implore you to dig deeper and look into other people, because if you really took the time to learn a person, you might see something with a different picture. My mom always told me when I was growing up that perspective changes everything, and to me it was just some stupid one-liner that moms say. Now I see the true implications and power this simple phrase had on my life. Had I just taken the time and seen my predicament from a different angle, I would have done so much better. Now, with the power of a new perspective, I'm able to finally break out of my cycle and finally go from a state of existing to a state of living. I'm finally able to start recovering. Not just am I only able to journal now, seek counseling, but I'm able to take off my mask and show others who I truly am, just like I'm doing right now. It's with this power of perspective that I was able to take control of my life and to see that light that I hadn't seen in such a long time. And I hope and pray that you could do the same. Thank you.